It begins, as so many legends do, in the quietest place of all, the bathroom. Dim light flickers on cracked tiles, the scent of old cleaning products drifts through the air. And there, reflected in the mirror, is where she appears, the Loira do Banheiro, Brazil's own bathroom blonde. Her story has terrified generations of schoolchildren, inspired countless retellings, and become one of the most enduring urban legends in the country. To understand the Loira do Banheiro, we must first understand the setting in which her legend thrives. Brazilian schools. Often built with long, echoing hallways and bathrooms at the end of dark corridors, these places naturally lend themselves to stories of ghosts and shadows. It's in these bathrooms that children, daring each other to look in the mirror and call her name, come face to face with something that might be real, or at least real enough to haunt them. The tale itself has many variations, but most revolve around a young, beautiful blonde woman who suffered a tragic, often violent death. Some say she was the victim of an accident. Others whisper she was murdered, sometimes even by her own family. There are stories of a girl who fell in love with the wrong man and paid the ultimate price, or of a student who died at school under mysterious circumstances. But what all these versions share is her appearance: a pale face, long blonde hair often wet or tangled, and a stare that seems to pierce right through the soul of anyone who dares to meet her eyes in the mirror. The ritual to summon her also changes depending on who tells the story. Sometimes it involves flushing the toilet 3 times, spinning around, knocking on the mirror, or chanting her name. In some schools, children draw a cross on the mirror with red lipstick before beginning. The details vary, but the goal is always the same: to prove bravery by bringing the Loira do Banheiro into the room and surviving the encounter. What happens if she comes? Again, the stories differ. Some say she simply stares back, her eyes filled with sadness or rage. Others claim she screams, lunges at the summoner, or even pulls them into the mirror, never to return. And there are darker tales, that she drags children away, leaves scratch marks on their faces, or follows them home. This mixture of possibility and uncertainty is part of what keeps the legend alive. No one truly knows what might happen, which makes it all the more terrifying. The origin of the Loira do Banheiro is harder to pin down than the legend itself. Some researchers trace it to older European ghost stories that traveled to Brazil during colonization, blending with local folklore. One name that often appears is Maria Augusta, said to be the daughter of a wealthy man who lived in the early 20th century. As the story goes, Maria was rebellious and spirited, often clashing with her strict father. One version says she died after falling and hitting her head in the bathroom, while another claims her father, enraged by her defiance, locked her in the bathroom, where she eventually perished. Over time, this tragic figure evolved into something far more frightening. By the 1972nd and 1982nd, Brazilian children across the country were daring each other to summon her. The Loira do Banheiro had become a shared cultural phenomenon, spreading through word of mouth, school corridors, and playground whispers. Teachers and school staff would sometimes step in to calm the hysteria, but their very involvement only proved to the children that there was something worth being afraid of. What's fascinating about the Loira do Banheiro is how she sits at the crossroads of urban legend, folklore, and social commentary. On one hand, she's a ghost story designed to frighten children. On the other, she reflects deeper anxieties, fear of punishment, guilt over transgression, and the consequences of breaking rules. In many versions of the legend, she appears when someone does something wrong, calling her in the mirror, defying warnings, or showing disrespect. Her story becomes a lesson, a whispered warning about boundaries not to be crossed. Psychologists have noted how bathroom-based legends are surprisingly common worldwide. Bathrooms are places of vulnerability, solitude, and reflection, literally, in the case of the mirror. They're also often dimly lit and isolated, perfect breeding grounds for fear. The Loira do Banheiro isn't just a product of Brazilian culture but part of a wider human tendency to populate liminal spaces with ghosts. Yet she remains distinctly Brazilian. Her image as a blonde woman stands out in a country with diverse ethnic backgrounds and histories. Some scholars suggest she represents, in part, lingering ideas from Brazil's colonial and imperial past, when European traits were sometimes seen as symbols of status or tragedy. The fact that she is blonde makes her both special and unsettling. She is different, and in that difference, there is danger. As the decades passed, the legend adapted to new times. In the internet age, forums and social media have kept her story alive. Videos on YouTube show teenagers filming themselves in school bathrooms, trying to summon her. Comments flood in. Did you see something? Look behind you. Don't do it. The ritual has become a kind of digital challenge, shared across Brazil and beyond. But even in these modern retellings, the heart of the legend remains the same. The fear of what might happen when you call her name and dare the unknown. In some places, the legend has inspired even more complex stories. People claim she doesn't just haunt bathrooms but can appear elsewhere, in empty classrooms, dark hallways, or behind you when you least expect it. Her image has also crossed into pop culture, appearing in comics, short films, and local television specials. Each retelling reshapes her slightly, but none of them completely explains who she is. And perhaps that's what keeps her powerful. Despite the fear she inspires, there's also a kind of respect around the Loira do Banheiro. Children might joke about her, but few truly want to face her. Even adults remember those schoolyard dares and the nervous laughter echoing in tiled bathrooms. For many, she becomes a shared memory of childhood, a symbol of that thin line between courage and terror that children love to dance along. The Loira do Banheiro also raises a broader question about why we tell ghost stories at all. In Brazil, as in many places, they're not just for entertainment. They serve as warnings, ways to explore the unknown, and rituals to help children navigate fear. By daring each other to summon her, children confront the idea of death, punishment, and consequence in a way that feels both thrilling and safe. After all, the danger exists only if you believe. But belief is powerful. Over the years, teachers have reported real consequences. Children refusing to use the bathroom, crying after seeing something they couldn't explain, or even fainting from fright. Parents step in, sometimes dismissing the legend as nonsense, but sometimes sharing their own versions. In doing so, they keep the story alive. In the end, the Loira do Banheiro remains what she has always been, a reflection. Not just in the literal sense, staring back from a cracked school bathroom mirror, but as a mirror of our own fears, guilt, and curiosity. She is both a product of Brazil's rich storytelling tradition and a living legend that changes with each generation. If you walk down the hallway of a Brazilian school today, you might still hear whispers behind bathroom doors. Someone is daring a friend. Go on, call her. Nervous laughter follows, then silence as they gather around the mirror. Perhaps nothing happens. Perhaps the only thing they see is their own reflection, flushed with fear. But maybe, just maybe, they see something more. A pale face, wet blonde hair, and eyes that have watched countless children before them. The story of the Loira do Banheiro isn't just about a ghost in the bathroom. It's about the stories we tell to understand our world, about danger, punishment, and whether she truly exists or not. One thing is certain: as long as there are mirrors and as long as there is fear, the bathroom blonde will never really disappear. Her story has been whispered in school corridors for generations, passed from one terrified student to the next, like a dark inheritance. She lives in every uneasy glance toward a bathroom stall that seems just a little too quiet, in every hesitant footstep echoing across cold tile floors when you think you're alone. Some claim to hear a soft, girlish voice from behind a closed stall. Others see a figure in the mirror that vanishes when they turn. Students, janitors, even teachers report flickering lights and sudden chills. They say if you knock 3 times on the third stall and ask, "Are you there, Hanako-san?" you might get an answer. Or worse. In some stories, she's harmless, a lonely spirit who just wants a friend. In others, she's malevolent, dragging unsuspecting children into the toilet and drowning them in silence. The legend shifts with each retelling, morphing to reflect the fears of a new generation. Sometimes her hair is jet black, her face pale. Sometimes she's faceless. But always, she's there, waiting. What makes her so terrifying isn't just the idea of a ghost in a bathroom. It's that she hides in a space we all visit. A place we consider private, safe, ordinary. The thought that something could be lurking just beyond the stall, or in the reflection of a mirror, turns a mundane moment into a nightmare. That's the power of urban legends like this. They take the ordinary and twist it, forcing us to question what we see and what we don't. So even if Hanako-san, the bathroom blonde, is just a story, it's one we keep telling. Because part of us wonders, what if it's real? What if she's still there, waiting in a school bathroom somewhere? Maybe your school. Maybe right now. Because as long as there are mirrors, and as long as there is fear, she will never really disappear.